go into the back line, kind of get that vision out for your Sky, for the combinations to kick in. And I think that's maybe the route they could go for here in 5RAT. Not just the durability on the Visage, but again, this big hitting core, if you do go for like the Ags on the hero, it can be ridiculous. The Ags plus the level 15 talent, you can really melt some heroes. Even the TB with all of his armor softened up quite a fair bit.
Allow me to interrupt you, Jonathan, because we've got a video with our boy Speed here. Of course, we're going to ask the man, what's his comfort hero pick? Let's hear from Speed.
So no matter what the patch is, I always have an affinity towards Timbersaw. I just love playing this hero. Unfortunately, right now, I think it's a pretty good hero right now, regardless of the fact that reactive armor is such a bizarre spell in its current state. It just feels clunky as hell. But this hero is just so much fun. Being able to explode heroes if they're 3/4 HP or below, it never gets old. Especially considering you can go Kaya Sanj and get the spell amp at level 15. That puts you up to 24% spell amp. But I actually learned recently that spell amp is additive. It doesn't stack diminishingly. So you can just explode people instantly at 24% spell amp, 30% if you get another Shawl. So this hero's fun when you get all these things together.
That's a free tip from Speed, John. You usually get that on the guides, but Speed, he's feeling a bit, generous today. He's offering us free tips.
Yeah, spell amp being additive, not multiplicative, so it doesn't diminish. Big tips there that you can probably find in this game leap, which is almost always 50% off, Mike.
Yeah, 50% off. It's a great deal. Stominant, not in a great deal right now, John. Copying a lot of damage here from Arc and Flea, but is going to be okay to back his way out. This top lane could be pretty disastrous for Arc, right? Like, Fear wanted to see something like a Darkseid come out. The thing is, with Skywrath and Visage, like, you've got level 1 Soul Assumption. It does so much damage at level 1. And with Stominant there to back him up and offer that burst damage you need to be able to use that Soul Assumption, Arc could have a very tough time. And you look at the amount of damage he's taking already, just from a concussive shot, it's kind of ridiculous. They just don't care for the TB's armor this lane.
Yeah, it's not a lot of HP on the TB, so the magic damage is always going to feel good. And as you mentioned, you can always just build up the stacks of Soul Assumption there and start to run down. Arc can kind of counterplay once he has maybe level 2 Metamorphosis. You start to feel good. You can threaten Stominant if he does overstep, but that's contingent on Stominant kind of, again, overstepping his bounds there and going a bit too far forward. We'll see if maybe Flea finds that opening to punish the Skywrath down the line. Overall, Arc's already out of regen, so not the best feeling in the world there for the TB, and it's a good start for Mr. Game Leap Speed.
Absolutely, because that mid lane, you've got Babbage there against Kids, the Tusk vs Pango matchup. For now, Kids having a great old time. Babbage shouldn't struggle too much because you're always going to have the Swashbuckle to get away from the shards if you do get caught out, and even the Shield Crash can be quite effective in getting out of that. In fact, hold that thought, because Arc was copying a hell of a lot of damage, and that was a Soul Assumption flying out from Speed. Arc, again, going to be so cautious because the magical burst they've got in this lane is quite high. But going back to that mid lane for a second, although Kids is being super aggressive here against Babbage, I imagine this Pangolier should not die.
It's pretty hard to pin him down, and you have pretty good reach as well to clear out the creep wave without hard committing. So you can just kind of stay out of shards, get that build up. If you trade, Shield Crash can be pretty nice. Although, again, Kits also has some back and forth with dodging with a snowball. So you've got a lot of mobility plays in the mid. I think it's going to be relatively stable for farm. Maybe whoever hits 6 first can look for a support rotation in. You do have pretty good support rotations from both sides. Maybe a little bit easier with Wildcard with the cookie combination and the lift. So a little bit more control coming out there. We'll probably see that maybe by the 6-minute mark. Again, not the most kill-intensive lane, as both sides are fairly durable on mid, but you are seeing Kits kind of pull ahead. He is working his wave clear a lot better with the shards and the snowball. And for Babbage, it's just a little bit annoying. Just slightly behind, but it's a good amount of CS here for Kids.
What about this bot lane? Like, you've got DNM on that Bloodseeker with Albino Zebra on the tree, and they're, of course, against Sammy Boy there on the old Snapfire, and Sunlight on that offlane DP. I personally hate Position 1 Bloodseeker, John. It's, I don't mean to say the T word, but it does feel kind of trash. It's obviously very good this game against the Pango, but what are you thinking about this Pos 1?
I think it's a positive feedback loop for 5RATFORCESTAFF. You consider what happens up top, and you consider that you've got level 2 Thirst here for DNM, the fact that your top lane can sustain this pressure, constantly drop Arc and Flea down in HP thresholds, DNM's always going to have a pretty good amount of Thirst running on. So he's always going to have a little bit more move speed, a little bit more mobility to play with.
Top lane, that's so much damage flying out. Flea and Arc, both so darn low, but Stamina and Speed do have to back off. They're out of mana here on Speed, though he does have a hell of a lot of mangoes available on that Visage. But they'll give him a bit of a break here at the top lane. You look at the farm of Arc, though, on this TB. He's having a rough time. 14-1. Yes, he's still finding some farm, but it's really nothing to write home about.
Yeah, it's not building up the way you'd want it to. Not too far behind on DNM, though. So it's not like it's completely bad here for the Terribly 2 CS behind. Losing the Courier's the bigger one. He lost his Raindrops there. So not going to be able to sustain through a lot of that burst for a little bit longer in that lane. And again, considering how that top lane is going, DNM's Bloodseeker is going to have a good time. He's always going to have some form of Thirst running. It's going to be hard to chase him down with the threat of Spirit Siphon, and even hard to pin him down with a Cookie. So by winning top, it helps you win bot lane, and this kind of positive feedback loop just helps to counteract how great a DP can be up against a melee hero. DNM is certainly not feeling that pressure right now from Sunlight.
Certainly not. Even Sammy Boy just taking over the lane now. Sunlight pulled the creep wave a bit further back. Kids, mid lane going to go for a bit of a snowball onto the Pango, but not going to amount to too much. Obviously hasn't hit that level 6 mark yet. Meanwhile, top lane, Flea does have to be very cautious because Concussive Shot's going to fly in, and just look at the damage. Flea, I mean, he's going to try to run. There's really just no way out. Speed, he'll secure first blood on the Visage. And my goodness, Flea, he can't do anything about it. Like, you don't have any raindrops either. And even if you did, they burst through the raindrop charges so quickly. It just feels like there's no point.
Yeah, it just melts. And it's just down to how aggressive top can be. Like, you think about Concussive plus Grave Chill, you are not running away.
Nah.
The movement speed slows, the ability to keep building up Soul Assumption stacks with a support like SkyRat Mage. They are grouping around mid here.
Yeah, that they are. Walrus punches out. Babbage, oh, he's swashbuckled on the spot. He's going to try for the Rolling Thunder back towards Stominan, but Kids is moving in, trying to get those final right clicks off Babbage. He's forced to get the hell out of there. Meanwhile, Stominan will Fairy Fire and will survive another day. Kid still on the chase, has another shards in just a moment. There's going to be a snowball out. Babbage will get the double damage, but it's not going to be enough. That was risky. Like, he risks his life for the Skyrath kill. Yes, they do find the Skyrath in the end, but it's not worth the mid-Pango.
No. Kits get solo EXP as well. You are very happy now in that Tusk. Again, all down to the support rotations. Wildcard just a little bit slower on the uptake there to come in and intercept, and Stominan just does great work, juking around, cops a lot of the hits, immediate smoke on his respawn upon TPing mid and the bottle refill. So they've got this huge opportunity to bully out top. Arc still doesn't have Sunder, does have Metamorphosis ready, but he's just so squishy if they're right on top of him right now.
Yeah, Arc, you've got to run. So there's the smoke break. He hasn't reacted quite yet because he hasn't seen them, but in Kits goes, and it's just so much damage. Arc still surviving for now. Stominan didn't have the backup damage to really burst him down. Still going. Sammy tries to take down Stominan, but it's not going to be enough. Sammy will sacrifice his own life away now to Kits, and Kits is still going. He could try to dive the tree line if he really wants, but it seems like they'd rather focus down that tier 1 top tower. And for now, 5RATFORCESTAFF really just playing this draft to perfection.
Yeah, they're hitting all their early beats from the laning phase. They're getting this aggression out, shutting down Arc, making him go to the jungle a lot earlier, while in comparison, DNM's not under pressure. The supports of Wildcard are forced to respond to the aggression of 5RATFORCESTAFF. And that's not really where you want to be when you have this lineup from Wildcard. You've got this Pango who's ready to roll. You've got the EXO ready to go. We are seeing Babbage work his way down bot. So they could try to go for a little bit of a gank on DNM and try to go for the kill if they get the control here. But DNM knows something's up. They had a ward in the river, so they know the rotation's coming in.
Kids, he's going to find Arc top lane. This is a real problem. Like, he might get caught now, and hopefully, at least for Wildcard, he does. Kids, he's a tanky boy. He has Snowball. He'll go for the shards, but won't make it out. The thing is, though, he does find that Terrorblade who's already just not having a game. Like, they just comfortably infiltrate that dire jungle. And as a TB, you have a bad lane, you rely on the jungle. If your jungle's getting invaded like that, what the hell do you do?
You can't do much. You have to find a way to make space for Arc, and they tried to push in bot, but because they were forced to TP out Babitic after he ran down bot, they can't fully commit for that push. So the tier 1 still stands. You're trying to play this push game up against a Treant. Every time you can't fully commit and take these objectives, you're just going to heal it up, which stalls out that push, which stalls out the space, and just makes it even tougher for Arc to find that room. You still are seeing forays here from the side of Wildcard onto that bot jungle, but this river ward out from 5RATFORCESTAFF just gives them so much info. Wildcard has just run through there multiple times, and they're able to adjust accordingly on 5RATFORCESTAFF, not allowing any openings to come out for Wildcard. Smoke out here though, 5RAT looking to use that vision aggressively now.
Yeah, I mean, the only person that hasn't been pressured is Sunlight. And he just may now. Sunlight, third in net worth at the moment, but may lose it very, very soon as there's your rupture out from DNM. Does he have a TP? He does, but he tries for the fight instead because he's got the backup, but he's already gone. Babitic, you've got to get the hell out of there. He'll roll out now. But my goodness, the burst damage from 5RATFORCESTAFF, just way too much to deal with. And until you have those BKBs up, there's no survival. In fact, Babitic is still running. Eventually should get out, but Kids was on the chase. Kids will leave him be. Meanwhile, topside Speed just invading the Dire jungle. And this is perfect gaming here from Speed, right? Like, just don't allow Arc that catch-up farm in that Dire jungle. That Dire jungle now, it belongs to Speed.
Yeah, he's eating through a lot. They've got really good forward obs here on 5RAT. There is a sentry in Sammy, but the obs should expire in a few seconds, half a minute. So probably not going to be able to get too much out from a D-ward there. Arc is finding decent enough recovery. He's still got a long way to go. And the issue now for Wildcard is you've got this DP who hasn't really managed to pressure in that bot tier 1 yet. Albino Zebrad's holding the lane now. Living armor is still a constant issue. If you can't fully commit with Exo for the take, it heals up by a decent amount. And Wildcard now are just kind of scrambling for a location to play in. Maybe once this diffusal's up on Babitic, you can look to, you know, just inhibit a hero, get it easier to get the Rolling Thunder off. They are just going to smoke without it, though.
But they are. See what they can find. I mean, they're so desperate right now, Wildcard, to get something going. Just buy more space for Arc. Towards the top side they go. They'll try to hunt down the Visage. Speed is backing off at the right moment, but still getting a little bit greedy for that farm. In they come with the Rolling Thunder, but no, they miss the initial stun. They'll move in with the Cookie. Speed still copping a fair bit. Surely goes down. No, he gets the stuns off. Oh boy. And Speed is juking and jiving. Mortimer's Kisses will do nothing. They call him Twinkle Toes on that Visage, John.
He sure was quite flexible there, you know, dodging quite nicely there on Speed.
Speed the ballerina.
He is a ballerina. He's dancing around, and you know, if you want to learn how to play Dota and dance around like that, you can check his gameplay, of course. I'm sure he's got some crossover tutorial on how to keep your moves up in Dota 2. Still, we're seeing a little bit of movement out now from Sunlight trying to shove in bot. Does have the creep wave, but just the presence of a Treant slows that down, and they're fighting mid again.
I mean, why not? This draft, it just... Hey guys, we went our lanes, let's run at them. Why would we sit back? Just run at them.
Yeah, and there's not much of a response out from Wildcard. I mean, they're forced to just, again, try to build up this farm, try to stall out for their Terrorblade to kind of catch up at the cost of everyone else. And at the least, they have managed to finally find that bot tower, so there's a little bit of room to kind of work that forward jungle down bot. But you're about to hit the item beats here on 5RATFORCESTAFF. Like you're on your way to a really early pipe coming out from Speed. Durability seems to be the call for him. So just trying to tank up his team up against the magic damage output of Wildcard. The diffusal's up for Babitic, which could have led to a successful gank in that smoke if they just waited for the 20 gold he needed for the recipe before they smoked out. So maybe now if they try to make a move, you know, you can slow someone down, find that support pick off. And to be fair, 5RAT, they are 8-2, but their net worth lead isn't massive. So Wildcard is still managing to find spaces on the map to build up. Most of that is still on Sunlight, but he's about to hit that point where you're really durable on that DP. The Guardian Greaves not too far off. Mech already up and running. So it can be a little bit harder to commit onto Sunlight. And that is something Wildcard can use to clump around. I think one of the times we saw the Terrorblade DP, they just instantly group up with Metamorphosis Exorcism onto the mid. I think at some point, Arc should look to make that play. He does have Dragonlance up, so he's a bit more durable. And they do smoke up a Stu here in Wildcard.
They've got to get something done. They'll head into the mid lane. If they can get a good team fight, that'll be the mid tier 1 tower to drop. Yeah, it's a little bit late, but it's got to go down eventually, surely. Wildcard maybe trying to use Arc as bait here in the mid lane, but it turns to be a little bit too obvious as 5RAT. They read the movement very well from Wildcard, and they back their way out. Even DNM, very defensive in this Radiant Triangle. So they will see him, but they won't catch him. They just know they're coming. And so Wildcard again find nothing for their time, and well, with that 5RAT, they may group up and smoke themselves soon.
Yeah, they've got ample opportunity to do so. All their spells are up. They've still got this really good single target damage coming out, especially with Staminin and the Mystic Flare. So you can just kind of dig through and melt a lot of these heroes, especially Arc. Like, he's going to be vulnerable until the Manta is up. Even with the Manta, you might actually need a BKB this game, depending on how you feel and depending on how well 5RATFORCESTAFF kind of get the jump here. As long as it's kind of stable like this, I don't think you mind too much. Again, net worth lead isn't massive by 5RAT, so just maintaining this farming pace from Wildcard will allow them to eventually just hit these timings on their Terrorblade and even on their Pangolier. Bapetich is working onto the Lincolns, so that immediately blocks at least the instant Rupture counter, but you still have a couple of ways of piercing, well, at least popping that Lincolns. If your Rolling Thunder isn't quite up, you can just rely on your Skywrath. So you have some solutions there. Overall, though, I think just allowing this kind of pacing, even though you're keeping up on Wildcard, the timings for 5RAT still feel a lot earlier. I mean, Bloodseeker just needs a BKB, maybe down the line a Shard, and a Basher, and you're kind of sad.
Jump in, Sunlight, he's popped the Exorcism, but look at the damage! Guardian Greaves just in the nick of time, barely surviving, but not for long.
Ooh,
there's that sustain you talked about, John.
Yep.
It wasn't good enough.
I mean, to be fair, it was a lot of healing out from the Guardian Greaves, just way more burst coming out from 5RAT. They did try to play around with Arc, right? You pop Exo, you pop Meta, you come in. Fortunately, Arc didn't pop the Metamorphosis yet, so he still got that available for himself, but that stops the mid push. You can't pressure mid, you can't open up the map more. You have really good defensive wards coming out here from 5RAT, anticipating these moves onto that mid. And they can play aggressive now. They still have so much to play with. Overgrowth is down, but it doesn't feel necessary at all. And again, you're just stalling out for DNM as well to get some space. Like, there's not much room for Wildcard. They've been clumped around mid for quite a fair bit of time.
Sunlight, not again. Sunlight, it just happened. He's going to be all right. They won't make the jump in yet, but Kids, no, he moves around. He was just waiting. He found the Rubik first. Flea, almost down, but there's your Guardian Greaves again, giving them a bit of sustain, and with the Mortimer's Kisses, maybe they can force a good team fight. Kids, he does go too far. Speed now, in pretty big danger, blocked by his own shards. Will drop to boot. In fact, that was Flea's shard blocking them off. So Wildcard, they finally find a crack in the armor of 5RAT.
Yeah, they make it work. I'm not sure if I saw Speed use a Stone Form. It looked like he was wanting to, but might have been on cooldown right as that fight hit critical mass. And just a little bit of a aggressive move out from 5RAT, punished massively. No Exo, but with Arc around, doesn't take too long for the mid to fall, even with that living armor around. There's still an opportunity to defend, though. Respawns are fairly short here.
And it is. Tier 1 mid tower. Dropping fairly quickly. Wildcard got to be careful not to get punished for this. Shards will block their way. Overgrowth will hold them down by Albino. Kids is going to rush in.
Ooh,
Arc's the target. Arc, he gets silenced up. He needs some help, but he's down. Maybe they can punish. They could try. Sunlight. Oh, look at this. Look at this. He's surrounded.
Oh my god.
Sunlight can't move. He'll TP out. He'll be all right. Sammy, in the meantime, though, won't be so all right. He'll be chased down himself on the Snapfire. Should drop as Kids is looking for a little bit more. They won't find him. That was quite a beautiful kind of ice surround, John. That should be a new spell.
Yeah, we've never seen that. Just 2 shards coming out, trapping in the same spot. That did kind of save Sunlight's life, though, preventing even more right clicks, giving him the space to TP out. And they did find the objectives here from Wildcard. You're pretty happy about that overall. You open up the map a bit more. 5RAT can't quite commit into the mid tier 1 to counteract. So Wildcard, again, finding some moves here in this game. And just managing to get a few openings for themselves. I think the thing for 5RAT now is these BKBs have to come up. At least DNMs has to come online. Kits, he's got the blink ready. He's been kind of juking and jiving really well. And I am curious what speed goes for after the pipe. He is going for the axe. Looking to hit and run, do a lot of damage, especially once his 15 mark is up. Wildcard are looking to play aggressive with his vision, though.
Yeah, they're going to try. Nice silence out. They've got DNM on that Bloodseeker. DNM going to try and find a way out, but there's no way out. He is gone. Great plays here from Wildcard. Finding their footing in this game 1 after such a terrible start. And, well, for 5RAT, it feels like they're giving a little bit too much away now.
Yeah, they need to respect that pick-off play of Wildcard. It is still there. The vision probably catching them off guard as their triangle's been really safe to farm in for quite some time. And they just go back into the push here from Wildcard. On to the top tier 1. Not going to take too long to kind of melt that down. You really need that BKB on DNM. If he does have that up, that entire movement gets a lot tougher to pull off. Although,
mid lane, they'll make the jump in and find Sammy Boy. Not the biggest kill in the world, but it's something. And Flea's going to take the old Walrus Punch away. Takes the haste rune away while he's at it. And Kits has no spells to trap him up.
Just a bit of tag. Always fun to see a Rubik with Walrus Punch, though.
Yeah.
Flying high from a right click. It's actually pretty useful on the Rubik. Pretty busted to have that kind of range on that spell. So they've got a lot of utility coming out from Flea now. And a slight net worth lead coming out from Wildcard. You've seen the recovery come through for Arc. He's gotten enough space in the jungle to get that build up. His Manta should be done. So he's got a way of avoiding some of that single target control. The Ancient Seal's not going to feel as threatening. And you kind of just have a little bit of a better time showing up now with that TB. Almost at that point where it can just stand up front and get the hits off. Once the Scotty's up, you're definitely in that spot. For the side of 5RAT, BKB's already done on DNM. Kit's not too far off from his, just lacking the recipe. And the full pipe is almost done as well on speed. So you are starting to get a bit more durable. And Wildcard opting to make a play early. I mean, they've got the smoke, but no one quite up top. Probably maybe feel the need to play around with the Exo and the Metamorphosis. Although 5RAT are going for their own movement. They know where they are at.
They certainly do. Sunlight is the target they'd love to start on. They know Sammy's around the area somewhere, but Sammy's not in position to really break the smoke right now. Wrap around Sunlight. He's going to get out of there. Ooh. Jump in. Kits off the mark. Snowball, though, is going to land. Shard's going to block the way, so Sunlight really has no way out of this. He'll Guardian Greaves and try to run, but they get a follow-up silence off. And eventually Sunlight understands he is going to drop. Wildcard giving another big kill away here to 5RATFORCESTAFF. And I was going to say Roshan might be open for 5RAT. It seems like with their own draft, they are going to take it easy and not try to force Roshan yet. But once you get it, yeah, he does have 3 levels in tag team, so it can be quite a fast process, especially with those familiars.
Yeah, it doesn't take too long to melt. I think the one thing is that 5RAT doesn't really have forward vision to protect Roche. They notice the threat of the Pango roll in such a tight spot as well. And they don't really have the multiple BKBs to kind of help them there. They only have DNMs. Just kind of play it safe. Maybe once they clear that mid-tier 1, that's the timing they're waiting for here to open up the map. Clear the mid-tier 1, you can go for Roche. You do have much more protection now for Bapitic. He does have his Linken's up. The one thing, though, that will feel awkward for the Pango here is you already have the early blink on Albino Zebra. So you can just blink in Overgrowth, and it's still really awkward for the Pango here. You're not dying from anything like Rupture, but you're held in place, and your teamfight presence is counteracted by a pause 5 with Blink. So that's still something Bapitic will have to watch out for. Just how well Albino Zebra positions himself in this fight kind of determines whether or not this Linken's is really going to do much. Like, if the Linken's blocked off Rupture, and he's not being caught by Overgrowth, you feel pretty good. If the Overgrowth still comes through, well, it's not going to be an amazing thing.
No. Big group up from 5RAT. Wildcard also staying together right now, not feeling safe. Because there is safety in numbers. Trying to infiltrate that Radiant jungle. And Arc has caught up very effectively. Top of the net worth board now, working on towards that Eye of Skadi timing, which is a very potent timing for Terrorblade. It's very, very strong once you have that item up, and you can start looking at, you know, other items like, say, BKB. Just to have that extra magic immunity against the side of 5RAT. 5RAT, I mean, the game's slowed to a crawl now, and it's gotten to a point where you start to question whether this draft is going to be able to really contest them later on, right? Because you've hit the mid-game now. TBDP, they're both very, very potent at this stage of the game, and as it goes longer, Terrorblade, it's one of those heroes, it just scales so darn well.
Yeah, it really does. And you're scaling on Bloodseeker, I mean, it does scale pretty well up against a hero like TB. It's not the most amazing matchup once the Scotty's up. Does feel like you can kind of get kited around just by how far that reach is. 5RAT opting to smoke up now.
But they are.
They've got the BKB up and running on Kits.
Maybe they can start with Babbage.
Ooh.
They do place the ward down. They've got the vision. Babbage, swashbuckle away. Sunder from Arc, going to give him another chance at life. Instead, they might have to settle for Sammy, but no, even he's too far. So 5RAT not having that burst they enjoyed just 10 minutes ago. Still trying to maybe bait them into Roshan. Sammy going to go for a D ward, does get punished. Cheeky little play there from 5RAT, acting as if they're going Roshan to try and force a D ward, and well, they were waiting the whole time. Now they can force Roshan.
Yeah, doesn't take too long with the damage output they do have. They do need a tag team to kind of get that done, but Kits opting to just look for more to walk under their vision. Wildcard not falling for that, although showing a couple of heroes, but they are tankier.
Very awkward position for Wildcard, because they know the vision's there, but they can't really move under it. And now Roshan just goes the way of 5RAT for free, because you don't have the backup of the Snapfire with the kisses. It's a great position to try and fight in as well with the draft that Wildcard have, right? Like, you're in Roshan pit with a Pango. You couldn't have asked for really more, but they can't get there.
No, the one awkward thing is that you don't have a Blink and Bapitic, so it's really hard to actually get in there with that vision standing in the way. Oh.
Jump in, Snowball, gonna connect, Kits, has his own BKB now, he'll just rush right forward. Sammy, in trouble, will be okay to back off as Sunlight, he's the one that's very, very forward right now, but look at the damage, DNM just takes him out. And now with the Overgrowth, they'll hold down Babbage. He'll eventually start rolling once again. It seems like they want the Tusk and they'll find the Tusk. A 1-for-1. Not too bad of a trade whatsoever for Wildcard. But they will still give the Aegis away, and eventually 5RAT, they'll just back their way out.
Yeah, it's a nice way to equalize for Wildcard. It's not the worst feeling in the world. You did pop Exo on your DP, and you lost Aegis, but you know, you kill off Kits. He's a pretty high net worth hero. Worthwhile exchange overall. But you will have to watch those team fights. Again, we're seeing the effects of just having a pause fight with Spell Immunity Pierce and that ult. It's really easy to cut off Bapitic. Doesn't quite work out in 5RAT's favor, but it does make it ultra awkward for Wildcard to find a follow-through. And just all the Spell Immunity removes Sammy's effectiveness here. The kisses in the back just aren't a threat when they are very well protected with the pipe along with the BKBs here. They can look for a little bit of a push forward. Wildcard, they don't have Metamorphosis up on Arc, so it can be a little bit tougher to look for that fight, and it's still just really melts with Speed around. I do like what we're seeing out from Speed with his talents. He's got the Grave Chill cooldown and the Armor Corruption on the Familiars now, so just get the added attack speed, melt the heroes with minus armor, and it starts to feel great. You've got the Shard up and running, a little bit more protection now with his own Stone Form, and Silent as a Grave isn't too far off. It's still 3 parts away, but once that's up, the hit and run that a Visage can do is pretty ridiculous.
And of course, this game brought to you by our partners, esportsbet.io. It was 5RAT that were the favorites in this matchup, by the way, John. I believe the rough odds were 1.5 to 2.3 the way of 5RATFORCESTAFF, but so far, such a close matchup between these two, and currently Wildcard, they're the ones ahead. And again, I reiterate, with this draft, it does feel like they are going to have a huge advantage in, say, 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, they really shine in the late game once they can enable just buying space for Terrorblade to stand and plant himself in a good position in the fight. It feels really awkward for 5RAT to kind of get on top. I mean, Kits is probably your best solution. Once you've got the Ags on Tusk, you can kind of reposition that Terrorblade in a very awkward spot. You can kick him back, make him vulnerable, bring him up to the range of your Bloodseeker, and then that fight just kind of gets topsy-turvy. So I think that's what you've got to look for on 5RAT as the game scales on. Still, with the Aegis up, Wildcard not really keen on forcing a fight. They are looking to equalize lane, so they've just done a great job of shoving in bot, while the side of 5RAT are just kind of looking to push top. They've got really good forward vision here from Wildcard to enable this creep cutting though. And eventually this tier 2 will fall, but again, equalizing with Wildcard, who are also forcing in bot. You do have the Treant on your side for 5RAT, so there is a little bit of stall, I suppose, and that should... It's going to need a commitment from Wildcard to take it out down at the tier 2 bot, but they could look for the play. Still, 5RAT, 1 minute left in Aegis, can go for a little bit of a sneaky smoke.
Here we go. They'll head down towards the south through that river. Dominant on the front lines right now, but DNM should take over as he does have the Aegis for another minute. Scan out. Going to be avoided. 5RAT still moving in. There's your scan now, catching out Dominant in that smoke. Because Wildcard, they may just want to back the hell out of there. An arc. Oh, he's going to be alright. They won't see him. Babbage still left behind. Going for the TP out. Kits, is he going to go in? No. His blink was on cooldown. They just didn't have the vision of the tree line to be able to try and get a snowball off in time. Nice evasion there from Wildcard. Not willing to fight while the Aegis is still up. But look at this. The TP's up north. Dominant looking to move in. All they got. They found the Death Prophet, excuse me, but the lift away was there from Fleet.
Yep, just really good saves been coming out from Fleet the entire time. Immediate 5-man smoke out from Wildcard. Could have a good ambush here.
And they could. Babbage rolling Thunder. Wants to try with Dominant first. Just wants to take out that Skywrath, but a blink away is there. Instead, he'll find Kits. Diffusal Bait slows him down, but there's your BKB out. Warrior's Punch back the way of Babbage. And the smoke rotation back from Wildcard is just so reliant on Babbage finding the right targets and locking them down long enough. And if they can't get that, they just don't have a team fight.
It's just awkward. You have a lot of ways of actually stalling out that rolling thunder coming out from Bapatic. The Walrus Punch is one way. It does take the BKB usage from Kits, but that's enough to drive them away. You know, and the fact that they can't chain stun Kits, they didn't even manage to catch out Dominant with its blink, does stall out that, and it allows 5RAT to kind of just look for an angle back in, or at least get that build up. And they do lose Aegis, it does expire. So Wildcard, again, they're playing the stall game pretty well. I think 5RAT might feel the pressure to get something done sooner rather than later. And their own movements haven't been lining up on 5RAT either. Again, this stall is allowing the eventual Ags to come out from Speed and Kits. Speeds is a little bit closer, so you will have that Silent as a Grave up. They do manage to clear out the bot tier 2 eventually with some commitment. But it's a rather equal map state. Like, the map is almost mirrored. You have this tier 1 advantage down bot for Wildcard to stall out any counter push there. At the same time, you are 2k ahead on Wildcard, but that's almost all just on Arc. So you've got to do a really good job of just protecting him. And again, the Ag's timings, even Silent as a Grave is pretty devastating for a Terrorblade. Just get on top of him, chain stun him down. No BKB for Arc, only the Manta. So the chain stun from the familiars are still highly effective. Remember, with the 15 talent, minus armor up, just how fast they can hit with Grave Chill. Yeah. Even a high armor hero like Terrorblade, he's going to get plinked down quite a fair bit there.
It is. It can be a very painful experience, that's for sure. Still a 2k advantage for Wildcard. Very even game between these two teams. I'm going to back off, not willing to try and risk his life here. Not without that Aegis up. Satanic now available on Arc as well, so he's become an even bigger problem now in this TB. Thing is, again, if he doesn't have the chance to just stand there and hit somebody, it's not going to matter. So a lot of pressure on Babbage to find that big initiation. do group up mid lane Wildcard, but the problem is there's nobody really there. Like, 5RAT are doing a very good job this game of just reading the map movements of Wildcard, and they seem to always know exactly where they're located. And so Wildcard, they just haven't had the greatest of opportunity to try and force a fight on their own terms. And they could try to smoke now. They are grouped up, but well, they don't even have a smoke on anyone right now. They're just staying as 5.
Yeah, I think it's not the worst thing in the world for Wildcard. Again, you feel fairly confident with your Terrorblade being at this point, with how much form you have on Arc, with how well he's recovered from the lane. It is a massive threat. I will say that we haven't felt the full impact of Arc just yet, though, considering his kill participation really hasn't participated too much. So we'll see how far they commit for some of these objectives if they want. Roche, fairly quick timer here. So a forced team fight for either side with a win will open up that objective in a massive way.
Well, last time around, Wildcard were the ones that wanted to fight, but they just couldn't make a way in. This time, they do have the superior vision around that Roshan pit. And this time, they're going to be the first ones to scout out Roshan. 5RAT, they smoke up, or rather Wildcard smoke up immediately, and they see someone in that mid lane. Speed was spotted underneath that sentry ward for a moment. He'll back his way up, but instead Roshan is being focused. Will 5RAT know this is happening? They have smoked up. The pings are there onto the Roshan pit, but it's dropping so darn quickly. It's a very hard team fight to start here for the side of 5RAT, and it might just be too late. Roshan, it is gone.
Sneaky take from Wildcard. Pretty big win for them. Security up on Arc. And for 5RAT, that's going to cause some issues. 2 lives in the Terrorblade is going to be annoying. Although if you take out his first life with Metamorphosis, it's not the worst thing in the world. Secondary life without Metamorphosis is kind of so-so. So you can still kind of handle it. You do have the Ags up now on kits, so you can reposition that Terrorblade as well. Now it's all down to execution. Like, you've got this huge lead on Wildcard, 5k, well, not that big, but a significant lead up against 5RAT at 35 minutes in. Again, mostly on Arc. We have to see Arc get that position he wants. We have to see Wildcard enable Arc if these fights break out. So far, though, he's just been kind of allowed to take these objectives. And with a TB and DP, you can threaten high ground quite fast.
And that they might. Arc, he's moving up. He won't pop the Metamorphosis yet. Naturally wants to save it for that secondary life if he needs to. But how the tables have turned. Arc gonna get jumped on. Kicked away, back towards his team. Arc still tanking through it, does get the Sunder off in time. Still just manning up here. Not popping the meta yet, just right-clicking the old-fashioned way. And they could not burst him down. Mind you, he has the Satanic still available if he needs it. Another kick away here onto Arc. He'll pop that Satanic, but there's the Aegis. Now the meta must be popped, but he needs the backup. Do they retreat? Lift is there from Lift. Oh, excuse me. They do kind of cooking him back in. Now the kick back. Arc, he just can't catch a break. He'll pop the meta eventually. It's getting lifted one way, cook it the other, kick back the other way. And Arc eventually, I think he just realizes this is not the fight.
No, he's out of... Well, he doesn't have BKB. Metamorphosis is still up for a bit longer, but it's not the safest fight in the world. And you can just see, again, it's down to execution for 5RAT. They execute pretty damn well there. It's all about the kickbacks.
Yeah.
And it's relatively easy to get that done. There's only one Linken's to worry about. Lotus Orb does not save you when Tusk is just staying in Snowball. Right? You can't kick the Tusk back. He's in a ball.
Right.
Isn't that balanced? What a balanced way of doing things.
Snow is very good for protection purposes, Jonathan. Very, very good.
It's something. So the Aegis doesn't quite pan out for Wildcard. I mean, they pressure Tier 3. It's down to 600 HP, but you've got a Treant. Albino Zebra should be able to heal that up. And we're reaching a point where it's really just down to how these team fights go. If Wildcard just manage to get their coordination, they get a good roll from Babitic, and Arc isn't kicked out of position, then the fights can end up a lot different. He's going for his own Linken's now. He understands that the kick is the one thing that can really mess them up. So having his Linken's up plus a Linken's given out from Babitic will make it significantly harder for kids to actually look for that reposition play. And that could be the saving grace for Wildcard in some of these wider fights. I can see both sides kind of just sitting back and farming up for a little bit more. Does feel like for both sides now, Roshan is what dictates when they can actually go for these plays.
Mid lane. Arc. Oh, Arc's very far forward. Lincoln's is there. Lotus away as well. Oh, he's going right back to Kids. This is not what Arc wants. Right back to Kids. Hold on a minute, though. They've got their help there. Kids now the one in trouble. He's going to run away with his BKB. And again, Wildcard just staying as 5. Not giving any opportunities away. Always there to defend the Terrorblade these days. And now a 6k advantage for Wildcard. Obviously, still not comfortable to try for high ground yet unless they get a successful team fight. But they might run into a few heroes here. Albino Zebra. Only spotted for a moment by Sunlight. Will blink away. Perhaps Wildcard thinking about going for that middle tier 2 tower. It's the only outer tower left standing here for the side of 5RATFORCESTAFF. They do group up. There's the exorcism being committed by Sunlight. No metamorphosis forced out yet by Arc. Dominant. Very nice ward placement. Trying to prepare themselves for a bit of a fight. In goes Kids. There's the snowball out. Lotus Orb going to drag him right back. Kids, he'll just wait around for that. Looking for that Walrus Punch. He does commit it immediately. But where's the backup damage? It's not going to fly out yet. So the tier 2 tower will drop. And it seems like at this point of the game, there's so much defensive itemization from Wildcard. You just don't have the burst damage anymore after the setup is there from Kids.
Yeah, it's more that they need to kind of coordinate around popping a lot of those Lincolns. The double Lincoln stacking is really the big pain here for the side of 5RAT. And if they don't have a way of dealing with that, it's just a bit messy. You also have two Lotus Orbs up, one from Sammy and one from Sunlight. So you have a lot of ways of just working these spells back to 5RAT. And it just makes it really awkward for that commitment. 10k lead up now for Wildcard. The goal distribution looking a little bit better for Sunlight and Bapatic, at least equalizing with speed here and being ahead of Kits. For 5RAT, they need to kind of play the pickoff game now. It does feel like they're the ones who should look for stragglers. The Ags from Speed hasn't really allowed him to look for any of those solo pickoffs that normally you'd associate with a Visage running around with the Silence the Grave. Probably just waiting for that full Hex up. When you do have that Hex, it does become a lot easier to just melt these heroes down. But as that timing stalled out, again, the Terrorblade's just a bigger and bigger issue. Silver Edge coming out next for Arc. They are just really ensuring that Arc does have that capability to carry them through, and you know, it's shaping up that way.
Ready in triangle. Sammy. Get 4-Stuff back to the low ground. He's going to be okay. Babatic's going to try and move in here with the Rolling Thunder and Arc. Also popping the Metamorphosis. They will find Stominant. They'd love DNM, but he's going to be keeping and just run his way out. Kids, meanwhile, being slowed down to a crawl with that Eye of Skadi. Albino Zebra drops as well. Kids, he will be able to blink out in time on the Tusk, but Arc, now with the meta popped, might go high ground. The problem is they don't have a creep wave. All the waves are pushed out at the moment.
Yeah, timing's not quite right. I mean, you're still pretty happy with those kills. 2 support kills, not the biggest. Forced to buy back on Stominant. So you kind of stall out his own timing into the Aether Lens just to have a bit more reach. And you're forcing 5RAT now to play ultra defensive. They can't really dip outside of their base. For 5RAT, it all just boils down to individual play. Like, they've got to execute precisely when they jump in. Like, it's all about spell timing, watching the Lincolns, watching the Lotus Orb toss-outs, and kind of trying to play around that. I feel like at this point as well, Albino Zebra is probably a very big part of these fights. Like, the overgrowth timing has to be key. That's your one spell that doesn't care for the Lincolns, doesn't care for the Lotus Orbs once they are up. And it will allow you to take control. We just need to see the angles. So that's ideal for 5RAT when they're the ones jumping in first. Counter fighting, it can happen, but we've seen Wildcard. They just managed to catch 5RAT while they're not quite grouped up for a good counter fight, and they just managed to get these pickoffs.
That they do. 13k advantage now for Wildcard. Win probability still sitting 43% the way of 5RAT, 57% the way of Wildcard though, so Well, Gaben's still giving them a very good chance of being able to pull off a comeback here, 5RAT. Thing is, it's just so hard to catch up these calls now. Again, the defensive itemization making it so challenging. And it is really going to be all about the next Roshan and whether you can contest as 5RAT4staffers. It seems like they'll already move back into that Radiant Triangle. Speed gets a bit of vision for his team. Wildcard still grouped up as 5, not willing to split up, and, well, quite frankly, they might love to fight underneath their own vision. They'll smoke up. They know there's no vision around to see that smoke. Wrap around through to the mid lane. Still very hesitant is Wildcard, however. Oh, they might find kids. Albino Zebra there to break the smoke of Babbage, so he'll go right into the Rolling Thunder. But who's he chasing down? Maybe looking for the train, but he is not around that area, and they find nothing with that Rolling Thunder.
Not the biggest loss. He did have an Arcane running, so the cooldown's not too bad for Babatic. Bit of an opportunity, though, for 5RAT. Double smoke on Kits and Staminen. They can still burst heroes down, at least these supports, if they do manage to pin them down here.
Samson. Let's get caught out. Kid's just trying to blow him up as soon as possible. Mystic Flare should get the job done, but Sammy's actually quite tanky now. In fact, turning around and fighting back. They rupture him up, and Sammy finally drops, but he's going to buy back immediately. In goes DNM after Sunlight, but he's caught out by the lift of Flea, and now he's in huge trouble. DNM cannot get out. Oh boy, that is not good news whatsoever for 5RAT, as they are still going. Sammy trying to chase down more. He's going to find nobody, but they've got a Roshan they can go after now.
Yeah, it's the big objective that's going to allow both sides to find more for Wildcard. This could allow them to just basically end the game. 5RAT maybe overcommitting a little bit on Sammy, just not expecting him to be that durable, and it cost them. Roshan does have the free refresh, massive for Sunlight to have that Exorcism up, or even Arc to have that Metamorphosis up on his secondary life.
Who have they found? Staminen. This will be a dieback for the Skyrath.
Yeah, it's tough. Like you really need the Sky as well for a lot of your combinations here to silence the Linken's popping. It's a minute 10 without him. It's the opening for high ground. You've got the refresh, you've got secondary lives up. There's not much stopping you now. And a double damage for Wildcard as well. So Arc's going to be pretty damn happy going into that high ground. For 5RAT, we've seen them hold the high ground really well before. They've got the Aether Lens up on Kit, so it's a little bit easier to get in a good ranged kick in. It's all down to play. Like if they can somehow kick back Arc, or somehow kick back maybe even Sunlight here, then you can open up that high ground defense a lot more. It's so hard to execute now. With all the defensive items Wildcard itemized for, it's easier said than done to get that.
I bet. Jump in. Chipping away from the low ground is Wildcard. Looking to go high ground once again. Double damage rune on Arc is going to make it very, very easy once he has the Metamorphosis up, but he does have to wait 20 seconds for that. So the Refresher Shard on Sunlight going to allow him double Exorcism, and that's going to make life even harder for the side of 5RAT to try and force this defense. And there's your double damage on Arc. He's popped it. Meta up in 4. These kickbacks have to be perfect, but it's just so hard to imagine. So many Linken Spheres being placed on Arc to make it impossible. They'll jump in, there's one kickback. They've got the TB. Quite deep here. They'll hex him up as well. Lift is out though from Flea, trying to save the day in Arc. He's going to pop his BKB and just happily fight back. Overgrowth will hold back the Terrorblade, but they cannot take him out. And he still has Sunder. He still has the Aegis. And he is still attacking those top racks. But they try again. Snowball is out. Arc will cop it, but he'll snowball right back with the Lotus Orb. In fact, now the Sunder! Well, there's something I didn't know, John. You can Sunder from Snowball.
Yeah, I mean, how often do you see that anyway? That interaction with Lotus and TV. So you learn something new.
There you go.
Kids learns as well. And I'm sure Speed will learn as well, and that's probably going to maybe come out in the video. Still,
yeah.
I mean, you're 23k up, you pierce the high ground, you still have Aegis. You give it a refresh out to Arc. He's got Metamorphosis once more. buyback already forced out from Kits. They can get it done, but you can see how difficult it is to just drag Arc back. There's just so many ways to save him. It's not easy. Sneak around here.
Gonna try something. What they got, Stomanen already dropping. Speed trying to do the absolute best he can, but needs to back the hell out of there. It is not a good team fight at all for the side of 5RAT. Babbage barely getting away from Kids as well. Nothing going the way of the Radiant. The speed eventually will just drop. Albino Zebra is able to blink out, but the chase is on. Wildcard, they smell blood in the water. They want more. And this game, it might just be over. Speed's down for 80, Stomanen's down for another 30. Like, how do you defend now?
It's still the same story. Try to get the kick back somehow. Try to play with the overgrowth, hold back Babitic somehow, and isolate Arc, but it's just such a hard game for it. And, I mean, I know, Wildcard, they've got all the tools available. They can just keep this push going. They've got to seriously misplay to kind of get caught out here.
Babitic being chased down. Kids will be there with the Walrus Punch. Babitic still just playing around with them though. Not really in too much danger. DNM trying his best to get some form of damage out, but there's nothing. Mega creeps are up. 5RATFORCESTAFF, they will not call it yet. But it's happy defense time. And that's never fun.
No, it really isn't.
GG.
They call it.
Yeah,
Fair enough. Fair enough. I can get the sentiment. It's a hard game to kind of pin down Arc. And Arc, he had a pretty slow start, but again, they just enable him on the side of Wildcard to get that build-up. Like, after that early aggression coming out from the side of 5RATFORCESTAFF,